Well, for the most part, these documents are years old, so they may well have offered a particular snapshot of what might have been happening here or there in 2005, 2006. I don't think that they necessarily represent an up-to-date perspective of what's happening in Afghanistan and Pakistan.
But then, so you do accept then that hundreds of civilians were killed in unreported incidents, Taliban attacks have soared, as has their capability, and that elements of the Pakistani security forces actively colluded with the Taliban to plan attacks?
Well, I think it's important to understand that these documents in many cases are field reports, which means that somebody heard something, somebody wrote it down and reported up a chain of command. This is not finished intelligence, so while they touch on areas of concern, I don't think that anyone should take any one document that's been released and say this is a fact. It may be true, maybe not.
Right, but we were told by some administration officials that these were exactly the sort of bits of information that led to President Obama's change of strategy in Afghanistan.
Well, I think when you look at these broadly, you see there are areas which have long been a concern and, in fact, have been addressed in the president's strategy. So, do we understand that when there is collateral damage and civilians are killed tragically in Afghanistan, that has an impact on Pakistani or Afghan public opinion? Of course we know that. That's why working with the Afghan government and international partners, we've adapted our approach and tried to make sure that we minimize to the extent possible the impact of military operations on civilians in Afghanistan. Have we been long had concerns about links between the ISI and these insurgent elements? Yes, we have. We've addressed them forthrightly, respectfully with the Pakistani government, and you've seen over the past months or couple of years, Pakistan itself has made a fundamental shift in how it sees its own security.
But you accept that there was active collusion between the ISI and the Taliban to plan actual attacks?
Well, I mean, the historical links between the ISI and elements in Afghanistan going back to the Mujahideen, that's a matter of history and very well known. What we've seen with Pakistan in recent months is a fundamental shift in how Pakistan sees its own security. So you've got operations ongoing in South Waziristan. You've had an operation in SWAT. We've been saying to Pakistan,
the Pakistani Taliban, not the Afghan Taliban.
That's right. So I mean, in many cases, these things are very well known, and they were.
Right, but this is about the Afghan Taliban who are actively fighting your troops.
Well, but again, we have seen a fundamental shift in attitudes within Pakistan. The Pakistani government has moved against these elements, and we want to see Pakistan stay on the offensive.